Wanted to ask you, there's no off season. You guys have been working really hard lately.
Yeah, it's first of all, I'm honored to be the third pick. I think it's the highest I've been picked to do anything in my life, so I'll take it. I guess I'm moving up in the world, but yeah, it's been a grueling off season, but one that we've been really excited about because we have an opportunity to continue to move the ball forward in our program, to add some really talented pieces, and give ourselves a chance to be much more competitive next year as we march toward trying to be Big 12 champs in the future.
Yeah, the recruiting. You guys, I heard somebody describe you the other day, and I think it was one of the kids that actually committed to you and said, look, he's not like a lot of coaches that tell you what they know you want to hear. He tells you what it's really about. He tells you what he's going to do, discipline-wise, everything. He said one of the reasons I went there is he spells it out. There aren't going to be any surprises with Coach Boynton.
Yeah, we try to lay it all to bear. We want these kids to know exactly what they're signing up for, so that they can embrace the grind that it is once they get here. And as we continue to move forward, we'll have more talented guys that want to do that. And right now, we're really excited about the guys we have. We believe that they're the type of kids that want to make Oklahoma State basketball nationally relevant again, which means first we've got to be relevant in the Big 12, and we'll take a big step towards that next season.
How excited are you knowing what you had and how hard those kids worked this year, how hard they competed, the pieces that you're adding, including a grad transfer that'll help with a little bit of experience as well, and then seeing what Texas Tech did in the NCAA tournament to help the conference overall. This is starting to set up really good for your program taking off.
Yeah, I think what Texas Tech did is kind of help change the narrative in our league. That's Kansas and everybody else. No, we've got some, in our league and in our region, everybody knows how tough our league really is. K-State and Tech share the conference championship this year in the regular season. Um, and so, Iowa State then went on to win the conference tournament. So across the board, it's a really, really challenging conference. And if you can get through this league, which is our challenge, you can certainly compete against anybody in the country. And Texas Tech proved that this season.
Hey, last thing for me before you head out to the golf course, for those guys that did work so hard this year, the bedrock that's coming back as the foundation, do you sense how excited they are seeing what the coaching staff has done in a recruiting mode to build around them? And because those guys are seniors next year. And, man, if anybody ever in this program has deserved a terrific senior year, those kids have earned that.
Yeah, I told those kids in our end of year meetings how excited I am for them to really take hold of our program over the next 4 or 5 months before the season starts, and really make sure that the kids coming in our program understand the sacrifice and commitment that it takes for us to have a chance to be as competitive as we want to be once the season begins. And those guys have all embraced that. They've been really good this spring. Most of them have left to go home for a couple of weeks before our summer workouts begin in June. But we had a couple of them, Thomas Dezagua and Cam McGriff, who are just going to stick it out through May and really try to make sure that they do everything they can in their power to have a chance to make this year their best season yet, and a season that all Cowboy basketball fans can remember for a long time.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Those guys sticking around. So
yeah, and Lindy Wood too. Not to cut him out, but he's dealing with a little bit of a back issue that he had during the season, and then Yor needed to get away. He had not seen his family in a long time. And then Ice is actually going to go back so he can start training for USA basketball trials, which will be here once he gets back in June.
All right, good enough. And again, go get him. Third pick in the draft.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Michael Jordan was the third pick at one point.
I think he was. He turned out to have a great career. So you have a great day today.
I'll be a good driver today.
There you go. Chad he can hear us and we can talk. We had a good time on, at least till that 10th inning, we had a good time on Saturday night. But, boy, Sunday ended up being pretty good. And
well, that's good.
Here's the thing. That was 3. If you think about Tulsa, because the excitement was early, and then you think about the extra inning affair in Oklahoma City, and then the excitement of the game down in Norman, which I didn't go down to Norman. I watched it on TV. Yeah, I just, me and Norman, I keep saying there's still posters with my face on it down there, so I try not to head that direction. What a series. That was a great baseball series.
That was Bedlam. That was Bedlam, just like it was intended to be, I think. But no, the Cowboys pulled it out, did a great job winning the series, and So now looking forward to a big finale against Baylor this weekend. So hopefully, see if we can win a championship.
Yeah, and you talk about, I was going to sit here and say, well, gosh, school's out and graduation was last weekend, and geez, Chad, you're going on vacation, aren't you? No, that stretch of road there between Hall of Fame and McElroy will be very busy Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because BYU's in the region.
Yep.
Starts Thursday for softball hosting.
Yep.
Baseball. Wow.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we have Special Olympics.
Yep.
Coming into town. So with, I think, over 5,000 athletes participating, they say it's the largest Special Olympics event in North America. So it's going to be, Stillwater's going to be hopping this week.
I was going to, like I said, I was going to ask what's going on in the athletic department, but we've got all that. Plus last week, the announcement was made. I think you and I had spoke either the day or 2 days before talking football scheduling,
yes.
which you're up to your elbows, maybe even beyond, into that activity. But I had a lot of people say, Robert, Tulsa, and we're going to give them a home and home? This makes sense, though, and I'm going to let the fans know why it makes sense.
Yeah, we think it does. I think, for no other reason than Tulsa is one of our, if not our largest alumni base. We have a lot of alumni, obviously, that live there. We have a lot of students that come to Oklahoma State from there, many of who go back to Tulsa. So I think this is an opportunity for the institution because of the length of the deal to know that we're going to be there for 4 years over that 8-year period. So I think the OSU Foundation, the OSU Alumni Association, obviously athletics, will allow them to plan for some big events there in Tulsa, around OSU Tulsa. We've got the medical school there. So it'll be an opportunity for us to make that an OSU weekend, that weekend that the Cowboy football team is coming over there. And so I think there's a lot of good things that come out of that. I think it is important. We recruit, obviously, student athletes from Tulsa as well. So I think it just makes more sense. We've got a school like Tulsa right here in our own state to play them rather than going to some other places that we've been before. I'll just leave it at that, that maybe don't make as much sense for us to be there when we could just be down the road, 60 or 70 miles.
Not only that, when you talk about the economics of it, I looked this up the other day when I was doing some of that research on that story. I wanted you to take a look at and see what you thought. I think it's Auburn this year is going to pay a grand total of $5 million for 3 non-conference opponents to come in. I mean, they're basically buying 3 wins for $5 million. Right. And you look at the dynamics economically of this 4-4 or 8-year home and home deal. The home team will keep all the gate receipts. The visiting team for each game gets a $300,000 travel stipend.
Right.
You know how much it costs to bring teams in here.
Absolutely.
This is a good deal economically.
Yes, it is. And, the market is changing just like everything else is. And you have some schools, you mentioned Auburn, and there's others like them that, they're changing the market with what they're paying both for the buy games and for even the 2-for-1s. Because obviously when you're doing a 2-for-1, you're exchanging for the ones, right?
Right.
But then the extra game you're paying
buying
for.
Right.
You're buying, and they're skewing the market for those, and maybe they can do that because they've got 95,000, 100,000 seat stadiums, and that makes sense for them. But that doesn't make sense for us from an economic standpoint, and so we've got to figure out what works for us, and we felt like that this did.
Laying this out too, and you and I talked about this the other night in Oklahoma City. It also gives you a little bit of a map for your non-conference schedule so that you can say, okay, these are in the books. Now, here's the year we want to try and do something special with Oregon coming in or Arkansas. And by the way, congrats, because Oregon home and home, Arkansas home and home, fantastic.
Yep.
But it gives you a lay of the land for a good, decent amount of years to put maybe some special games around the Tulsa schedule.
That's right. Yep. We will always try to have a another Power 5 school on the schedule, and often those are going to be kind of marquee type matchups. If it's a Power 5 school, there's a chance that they will be. And we're going to try to be scheduled out. I'd like to be scheduled out at least 10 years in advance, and the reason for that is if you've got more options available to you. If you get inside 10 years, you start to get limited on even what your options are. And it probably actually needs to be a little more than 10 years, but the other side of that is you don't know how good teams are going to be 10 years from now. But if they're a Power 5 school, the chances are it's going to be a good game. It'll be a marquee type matchup. So we'll always try to have one of those on the schedule. If Tulsa is on the schedule, and then that gives us, the third game currently to work with. So I feel good about the opportunity to build the schedule around those things.
I don't want to just limit the conversation to football scheduling talk. Talk about wrapping up this school year. Now, I know that, the new soccer stadium actually opened last year,
right.
But it will open this school year with everything. The team will move over there. Everything, all the amenities are finished. Yes. Colin, we had him on about 2 weeks ago. He can't wait for that to happen. I don't know what the schedule is now on Obrate.
Right.
I know the weather's kind of hurt that, but they could also get some weather like this for about
right.
a month and a half and catch up.
Yep.
So next year is a huge year for Oklahoma State. A couple of new facilities
yes.
come online, and again, we had Coach Boynton on. He looks like he's building a program,
yes.
and you've seen people build programs in your past.
Yes.
At Kansas State and here, and then obviously as well at Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a real exciting school year coming up.
I'm excited about this year, absolutely. I think I'm excited about football season. I know we'll be breaking in a new quarterback, but I think there's a lot of talent there, and I think we've got a lot of good things working in several of our other positions, skill positions, running back, that sort of thing. So I think that football is going to be exciting. You're right. I think obviously with the recruiting class that Boynton has put together and is bringing in, I think that's exciting. You've mentioned the new facilities, and
I still count soccer's new.
Well, and it is.
It is.
We ran into some issues with during the construction. We had a huge rain event and caused some flooding because all of the drainage wasn't quite ready to go yet, and so we're trying to kind of catch up on that, but get the soccer teams moved in there. The thing about these facilities too, Robert, is they're not just kind of ordinary, average new facilities.
No.
I mean, they are they're bar-raising new facilities. There's very few schools that have soccer stadium like Neil Patterson Stadium. There's very few schools that will have a baseball stadium like Obrate Stadium, if any, and so that's a tribute to obviously Coach Holder and his vision with those facilities, and then the donors, Mr. Patterson and Mr. Obrate and the others that have made those facilities possible, and they are game changers for us. So it's exciting to be part of opening those facilities. I think Josh will tell you that he's seeing the benefits of that from a recruiting standpoint already. And that's what you hope, is that gives your programs that kind of momentum, and I think that it is. So, just overall, I'm very, very excited about all of our sports for the next academic year.
Yeah, and I know conference meetings will be coming up fairly soon. I think the coaches have had theirs. Don't the athletic directors, isn't that coming up?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
At the end of this month.
And this is a critical time for the conference. We haven't spoke with you since they announced the new third-tier rights situation with ESPN, ESPN3. It kind of gives – it gives the Big 12 a streaming network. So your thoughts on that and the conference as a whole?
Yeah, I think it was a good step in the right direction. It's not a big revenue generator for us at this point, but it does give us a distribution model. So now there will be people from all over the world will be able to watch Oklahoma State athletics if they want to. I think that this is the way technology is moving. You're seeing a continual move away from linear to digital. And I think the reason why is people want that choice. I mean, it gives you sort of a menu of choices. So what I like about it is, we'll be able to you'll be able to watch Oklahoma State versus, let's say, Iowa State. I'm just using as an example in basketball. And at the same time, Baylor and TCU may be playing a game, and the Oklahoma State and Iowa State fans can tune into the Big 12 Network and watch that game, and the Baylor and TCU fans can tune into the Big 12 Digital Network and watch that game. And so it gives fans a lot of choices. It gives us some scheduling back in our control. So we may have 7 o'clock basketball games again at times, which before it's always been either 6 or 8. 6 seems to be too early and 8 seems to be too late, but that'll give us a little bit of control. So I think there's a lot of good things that come from it. Probably the biggest, though, is just for the future. I think it sets us up to maybe have some momentum when we go into the next contract negotiations if this thing takes off and grows a little bit.
Last thing, and I saved it to come after this because the last question kind of sets that one up. I see you and Larry and Coach Holder and everybody, and you look at some of the people, Mr. Obrate, and obviously Boone Pickens, to a tremendous degree, and Neil Patterson, who's passed away, and you look at the people that are the major donors and that donor base, and this goes on for every school. It goes on for every entity. People get older, and you have to start attracting the younger fans, and those eventually, some of those people are going to become your boosters and your main financial supporters. I know that Coach Gundy's had a few comments about millennials. I've even said a few things about millennials. I think when we're older, we get a little bit. We're going to pick on the younger generation. But some of the things you guys, I can see this in the athletic department that you're doing. You're reaching out because you have to, and you need to establish the millennials. That's your next base.
Yep, that's exactly right. I think it's just like everything else. It's just change, and we've got to figure out those things that are attractive to them, the things that they want, and we're trying. We're listening. We're monitoring kind of what's going on nationally, what some of the ideas are, and trying to implement as many of those as possible. And I think we're blessed overall. We don't have near the problem with that some of the schools talk about that they have. We still sell a great number of all sports tickets to our student body, and they come out and are supportive and into it. And so we'll continue to try to do those things to attract them, make it interesting to them, make it the way they want it to be. And but overall, I feel good about where we are. Very appreciative of the support that they give us. They love the Cowboys and Cowgirls and are a big part of what we do.
And the one thing that transcends all generations, winning.
That's a big part of it. Absolutely.
That'll get you a long way.
Yeah. But it does, Robert. Back to your point, it takes everyone from Mr. Pickens all the way down. Everyone that's a posse member, everyone that buys a season ticket,
graduates this weekend,
everyone who buys OSU athletic gear, whatever. That's all supporting Oklahoma State University and the OSU Cowboys and Cowgirls, and it takes all of that, and we're very appreciative of all of it.
Yeah, and I know you guys aren't ready to give out any numbers on football season ticket sales, but you started that earlier. So I know Larry the other day told me we're ahead of where we were a year ago just simply because we started the push earlier.
Yes, that's right. It's kind of hard to compare numbers to numbers since we're doing it different this year, but we did feel like it was important for us to bump up the renewal deadline, and the main reason for that, and I know it'll take a little while for everyone to adjust to that and get used to that, but we need to get our current season ticket holders to tell us their commitment for renewing the next year so that we know what tickets we have available to sell to new season ticket holders. And the earlier we can start that process, just the longer runway it gives us to get that done. And it's obviously very important for us from a revenue standpoint, but also it's important for us to have a full stadium on game day, and the impact that has not only on our ability to win and the home field environment that it creates for us. Our student athletes, they pay attention when they run out of the tunnel. They look up in the stands and want to see if it's full. So that's important, but it's also important from a perception standpoint when those national televisions click on Boone Pickens Stadium, you want it to be full because that sends a message to the rest of the country about the commitment we have to the program and the excitement there is from the fans around the program, and that's what we want to be able to show. So we're making adjustments to try to make it to where it gives us the best opportunity to do that and get as many Cowboy fans in the stadium as we can.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert, very much.
Yeah, I will say this: the football scheduling, which has always kind of been something that is near and dear to my heart, and I like the way that's going now. I mean, some of these games for the future. I mean, you are correcting an ill from many generations back or decades back with Arkansas on a home and home, because that still bothers me.
Yep.
That Oklahoma State went for years and years to Little Rock, and I mean, if Arkansas wanted to sign on for a long term, I think that's a great rivalry as long as it's home and home.
I do too. We're excited about that. I mean, the next closest school other than Norman, Power 5 school, is the University of Arkansas. So they're closer to us than K-State or KU or any other Big 12 school is. So it makes a lot of sense. I'm grateful to them to work with us on that. I think it's going to be great for both schools and both fan bases.
I had Chad Weiberg here just a little while ago. How about the quality of baseball in that Bedlam series this weekend? I know you'd love to have taken 3, but you talk about the high quality of baseball. Every one of those games was extremely exciting. It's a pretty good weekend for baseball in this state.
Yeah, I think so. 3 games, all 3 had a little different personality to them. I think the first game in Tulsa was really well attended. It was a nice crowd. It looked like it was pretty close to capacity from at least where I was sitting in the dugout. It looked full. And we played awfully good on Friday night. Jensen pitched a brilliant game. The kids lit the ballpark up with 3 home runs, back to back to back in the first inning. What a way to start a series. And, that was a really well-played game. I thought we were on point on Friday night. And then Saturday's game was just a kind of a classic pitcher's duel. Their starter threw the ball great. Their middle reliever did a good job of keeping us off balance. Colin with a clutch home run to tie it late in the game against their Sunday starter, who they rolled in there Saturday night for relief. So I think that told you about the urgency that they were feeling in that game. To lose it in extra innings was tough, but that's baseball. They got a clutch 2-out hit, and you give them credit, right? And then, but I think the real story of the whole series was Sunday and the way that we bounced back, and the way that some of the kids on Sunday who were part of that game Saturday night, changed the final score. Bryce Carter gets a 3-run homer coming off the bench in place of Colin Simpson, who got hit by a pitch. And Ben Leeper, who was on the field Saturday night when we got walked off, was the man standing tall at the end on Sunday. So, you can look back and take a lot of positives, but I think Sunday's game showed the resiliency and toughness of our team. Saw the same thing out of them the previous Sunday in Corvallis against Oregon State. And, for our kids to play OU 4 times this year and beat them 3, that's not an easy thing to do. So I thought we put good baseball together all 3 days and won a pretty important series.
I got to ask you, because, I actually stayed home and watched the game on television yesterday, so I saw what happened to Colin really well. That was a pretty good hit off his hand. Actually hit his hand first, then the bat.
Yep.
And, he did come back. That shows you his toughness. He caught the bottom half of the top half of the next inning. How is he, or do you know yet?
Don't know yet. Hopefully X-ray here shortly, and we'll get a little better idea what's going on with his hand. But I sure hope it's nothing that's going to keep him out an extended period of time. But we'll find out soon. But keep your fingers crossed, Lauren.
I heard you in the post game with Rex talking about how he probably had ice on the hand, but he didn't go back in the back of the locker room, didn't spread out, he was on the edge of the dugout cheering for his teammates. And that, again, you just keep being impressed with Colin Simpson.
Well, the longer I've been around him, the more I've grown to appreciate even more things about him. And I think sometimes in coaching relationship with your players, over the course of time you get to know a kid, and the kid kind of shows you his true colors, whether it be the type of student they are, the type of person they are. Obviously, you see him on the field, but over the course of time and watching Colin, we knew early on in his career he was going to be a heck of a player for us. What he's become is he's become a really good leader. He's become a really strong student, graduating with his degree in college business. 4 years on time. What an awesome accomplishment. But where he's really, really impressed me the most is just who he is and the way he treats people. What an encouraging teammate. Always has a kind word for somebody. He's funny. He's got a spirit about him that keeps everything loose, and yet he never loses his ability to perform when we need him the most. So just really appreciate Colin Simpson. Appreciate his mom and his dad, the way they've partnered with us as coaches and parents and a player, and raising a kid through college and seeing him blossom into one of our better players in quite some time. So he's just a real special guy, man. There's certain kids that bring something to the table that I'm aware of it while he's here, but sometimes you don't realize just how special they are till they're gone. So we really value him, and even though he wasn't in there playing, he was up on the bench encouraging. He's telling hitters getting ready to come up what they're going to see from a certain pitcher because he'd faced him the night before, and his conversation with Bryce about what to expect from Legend Smith right before the home run probably gave Bryce a good peace of mind. So just a great example of a kid that's not just a good player, really good player, but a really good teammate.
All right, last thing. None of us knew how the season would close, what that last series would mean at Alley P, but no better way, and hopefully Alley P will get some extra duty in postseason. But the last regular season series in that ballpark, the Big 12's on the line, Baylor, a good baseball team's in to face the Cowboys. This is the way that facility was meant to go out with an important series like this, and I hope the fans will fill it up.
Well, I hope so, too. Baylor's a heck of a good club. They got a lot of good players. They've played really good baseball over the last 2 years, so the series should be full of great baseball. The games have great value for sure. There's no doubt about that. Hey, that cart girl just hit my cart. Hopefully she didn't knock it off the sidewalk too much.
Is that your cart?
Well, that's our cart. I maybe should have parked it further to the side, but I think she did see it there before she ran into it. So anyway, big series. The last regular season series, if you will, at Alley P. And, the history of the stadium is well documented. I mean, I think all of us, would tell you that place means a lot to us. And so many days of going to the place you love to do what you love to do. That's been our playground. And I think our players will be up for the challenge. I think our fans are going to show up in great numbers. We've got a number of alumni coming back to town for this weekend. Just be real special to pack that place all 3 days and pay tribute to the history of that facility. You got the regionals for softball going on across the way, so no reason not to be out at the corner supporting both sports and being present, because we need you. Our fans have such an impact on our team, and you saw that Friday night in Tulsa, an amazing Oklahoma State crowd in Tulsa. That's become such a great game each year with the OSU folks. And I thought we had tremendous Oklahoma State fans in Oklahoma City and Norman, for that matter. Yesterday, above our dugout was all orange, and to be on the road and have your loyal and true fans there means a lot to us. So hope people will go out of their way to come back and see what, one, will be great baseball, but two, great baseball in a place that's pretty special to all of us.
All right, congratulations, and I think this says a lot about Josh Holliday. I know Matt was a celebrity on the board today, but you've got an important series. You came off one this past weekend. You could be in your office watching tape, although I heard you say you know a lot about Baylor from all the crossover. But, hey, you show how much these kids, how much this cause means to you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's Dave Hunziker's an amazing just a representative of the school.
He is.
And he's done great things for our entire athletic department. But, the last few years, the compliments and time he's put into baseball to help, get more baseball on television, and this event's something he puts his heart into. And the least thing we can do is be out here to say how much we admire these young kids and support their families in this cause. So it's an awesome day, and it's great to see so many people out here golfing on behalf of Coaches vs. Cancer. And, I've seen a lot of other coaches out here spending their day. Just watched Coach Gundy tee off, and had a chance to see Coach Boynton, Coach Udwadia, Coach Young. So Coach Sanchez, I've seen a good number of our athletic department coaches
Chris
here.
Young, fresh
Yeah,
off this
no
weekend
doubt.
in the Super Regional, is
So
here.
this means a lot to all of us. And Kendria with Coaches versus Cancer has given our athletes a chance to meet young people that are very inspiring. And every time you see those kids walk through our locker room, you see our players kind of takes their breath away a little bit to see the courage these young people have. So it's an honor to support them and continue to provide some good experiences and keep those kids' spirits high as they fight and recover.
I appreciate you being out here and looking forward to this weekend, folks. Some great baseball at Alley P.
You got it.
Josh Holliday, Cowboys baseball coach.
Were you golfing today?
I wasn't. Marcia, my wife, volunteers with Coaches versus Cancer, so she was actually out in the 13th hole passing out refreshments. So we had water, we had pop, we had Gatorade, which is kind of fun because that's the hole where it's a tee box for two different.
Okay.
So you can sit there and watch Brandon Wheaton hit a ball. Oh my God. Mickey Tilton hit one.
There's a reason he walked on to the golf program here.
Guys, okay, so first let's preface this. I'm not a PGA guy. I watch on television, which they make it look easy. So I'm sure if you go to an event like that, everybody hits like that, I'm sure. Oh my God, I've never seen a ball hit that far in my life. And straight, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you start rolling some people up there, Josh Fields. So I just sat back and amazing. But you know what's fun is they're all out there for the right reasons. You're out here for the kids and taking care of stuff. And it's always a fun event. When I came to Stillwater 10 years ago, obviously I didn't know much about Coaches versus Cancer.
Your boss just rolled past.
No, I'm fired.
Yeah, no. I think he's glad that you're on and not him.
And so anyway, it's 10 years ago, and Marcia got really involved in it and has a real passion for it, and in turn I do as well. But it's just the people that put this on and the commitment that they've had, and not just for this event, all the events that they do. It's really special, and that's what separates Oklahoma State, Stillwater, from a lot of other people with Coaches versus Cancer. But it's all for the right reasons as well. And the kids are having fun. You know, they're out putting around and driving golf carts around and really enjoying themselves.
How important for you and the athletes, for, not just for your guys' program, but all these programs, because you look at it and across the board, they're always trying to give back to, whether it be kids that are in need of because of illness, stuff like that. They're always making sure that there's a community aspect involved in your programs. How important is that to not only these student athletes, but they're also trying to become better human beings around here?
Well, I think it's we always talk about situations within our program about what are you doing to give back, and then also kind of looking at yourself and feeling how blessed you are, and I think a lot of our student athletes understand that, and they do a really good job of knowing that they are blessed, and take advantage of what God has given you. But at the same time, for those that aren't, what can you do to make things maybe a little bit more pleasant for them? And besides this event, the birthday bash that they do, it's kind of in the middle of the year a little bit, maybe later in the fall. They turn Gallagher into a birthday party for about maybe between 20 or 30 survivors and their families, and it is an absolute blast. And so every team has some little event set up. Like baseball, you can go swing a baseball and hit it, and you can color over here and do a little golfing over there. I mean, there's just events everywhere. So it turns out to be this huge birthday party for these kids. And so when you look at the student athletes just jump in there to help them and really make every single parent and their son or daughter feel fortunate to be there, and it kind of takes their mind off of maybe a really difficult situation just for a little bit, and just to see student athletes hop in. The people that come back for this event, I think Brandon Weed played in this a number of times now in a row, guys.
Yeah.
Josh Fields played a number of times in a row.
Scott for playing.
Thank you.
At least
Scott's
2 years in a row.
I mean, you go down that
Yeah.
list. I was reading the board. There was maybe a tweet that went out that I was looking at all the different names on there, and I thought, yep, back again. Look at that, back again, back again, back again. And they kind of put it on their calendar like, no, when is it? I'll be back.
Right.
And, of course, you have people, whether it's Dave Hunsiker or Ryan Cameron or others, that call ahead to make sure, hey, can you guys play in this? It's really important. And then you have, people that come in and bid on those people to play with them and throw some money out there.
Yeah.
That for a lot of us couldn't afford to do that. But as one guy told me, he says, if you can't put money out for something like this, and you got a problem. He goes, this is what this is all about. And so I think everybody has fun in their own way, but it's just the cause and the purpose just kind of makes you sit back, and it really puts a big smile on your face.
Kind of crazy how it always seems to work out like this, huh? Great weather today, and I mean, doesn't always work out like that, but my goodness, they couldn't have ordered anything better.
Well, you're thinking last week it just seemed like there was a monsoon that came
Yeah.
through. We couldn't find a break.
Or it was 50 degrees
Correct.
over the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I was kind of looking ahead. We were laying in bed last night, and I told my wife, I said, I didn't even check the weather. And I'm sure Dave's been checking it for, like, the Farmer's Almanac since 6 months ago, But I said, hey, you know what? Because, well, it said it's going to be in the 80s. And I go, seriously? Because, 80 and sunny. I go, man, that is awesome. So, yeah, and the course was fine because sometimes you worry about it. But, no, it was, I just think it turned out. And then you look in the clubhouse and everybody's mulling around talking. Well, like we said, the same people are back all the time. And so it's kind of a way to have a little bit of a reunion and use Coaches versus Cancer as part of that.
All right, last one. We'll let you go. Were you out there for Coach Chris Young's tee shot, and which left, right, center?
I was not there for any of that. I wasn't there for that. I did hop in his cart and talk a little bit.
Okay.
What a year they had.
Yeah, no kidding.
And boy, he told me they were right there. A couple things go their way, they could have knocked off a really, really talented North Carolina team. And,
and the exciting thing is they're not technically done. You've still got the individuals coming up, and with the doubles, number one doubles, getting a win over the number 2 ranked team, you have to be feeling really hyped for their opportunity come that doubles competition in Orlando.
And just think about it. We were driving yesterday. My wife and I were driving back, and I said, just think about this. So, softball gets to host a regional, playing well. Baseball, wrap this thing up with Baylor and go ahead and do whatever you want to do. And in the Big 12 tournament, we hope they get a host, and they're taking care of OU, and I'm looking at the men's go. I mean, it's been another fun spring when it comes to the graduations wrapped up. Weather kind of survived that a little bit, and then our spring sports are doing well. So it's a great time to be a Cowboy and a Cowgirl, I'll tell you that.
Certainly.
No doubt about it. Coach, we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Good
Thanks.
seeing you.
It. Yeah, good seeing you.
So Coach Bill Annan, appreciate him stopping by for just a second. Afternoon Sports Drive back on the air. Jordan King, Jason Elmquist. Now joined by the Cowgirl tennis coach, Chris Young. And we are out here live at the Coaches versus Cancer Cowboy Classic Golf Outing. And you hit a few straight today at least, Coach?
Yeah, a few. I mean, the ones that you guys saw were good, so that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I guess we needed Jason standing over you every single one. Was he
Yeah,
reading
putting the
that for
pressure
you
plate.
up there or what?
No, he just was making sure there was a little pressure. I thrive in the pressure moments.
So there you go. Man, beautiful day. You couldn't order weather better than this, huh?
Beautiful day, great cause. It's definitely one of the more fun events that we do because of why we do it. So I think that's the most important thing. And obviously the weather cooperated. It's usually pretty warm around this time, and I thought today.
Whoops! I'm popular man right now. Let's turn the. There we go. That should be a little bit better. Sorry about that.
Phone just starts ringing off the hook.
exactly. Oh, you got CY on. I got to talk to him as well. I know you sent out a tweet. Obviously, there's someone close to your guys' program in Hazel that was out here as well. How special has that been for your program, your girls, to connect to someone and kind of have someone that they understand that there's a lot to fight for, and sometimes tennis can be an afterthought when you have something like this.
Yeah, that's right. Our program was really close to Morgan Mitchell as a girl several years ago when I first came, and we met her on a hospital visit, and so we just really connected with her, spent a lot of time with her, followed her, and when she passed, I think it kind of set us all back. I know myself a little bit personally, so I kind of took a little mental break from a year or two of kind of connecting maybe so closely with some of the kids, and then decided last year let's really jump back in and do some more of that, and then this year with Hazel, it was just an opportunity for us to bring her to a match, and it went really well. We played our best match of the year against Kansas and during the regular season, and told her, hey, you're a good luck charm. We got to get you back from Miami. So we did that, and she's really connected with our kids, and everything is great. So to see her out here again today and just keep up with the family now, and very close connection now between us and her family and our program. And we want to be able to help as much as we can.
How important is that, do you feel, for your athletes? I asked that to Coach Annan earlier.
Yeah.
We had him on. To have your athletes, getting involved in the community or with these younger kids who are going through things like such as
Well, it's a matter
cancer.
of perspective, right? I mean, that's the reason why we played so well when she came, because, I told the kids, look, you're going to face some adversity in the matches, but it's nothing like the adversity that this girl is facing. So, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't complain. Don't have a bad attitude. I showed the girls, I don't know if you saw the clip of the disabled boy that Clemson's kind of taking from Georgia, and Dabo Swinney brought him to some of the practices, gave him the ring. I don't know if you've seen the clip of him that's going around social media where he gives a speech to the kids, and he's like, Dabo says we got to be all in, and then he says the only disability in life is a bad attitude. And I thought that was such a good quote, and I've told our girls that so many times. And when you come to an event like this, how can you have a bad attitude about the things that we face? Sure, everybody has struggles and trials and things, but these kids are, fighting for their life. And so it just puts things in perspective as coaches, as athletes, as players. And, someone like Hazel or these kids, they look up to our players, and it means so much to them. I mean, she thinks it's a big deal that, these kids are paying attention to her. And so I think it kind of goes hand in hand.
Coach, obviously means a lot for you to come back on short notice. I mean, just 36 hours after an emotional end of the season for you guys. Just want to talk for a few minutes about that. Only got a couple minutes left, but obviously you go down there and the number 1 team in the country, the number 2 seed in the tournament, but based on multiple polls, and the number 1 team in the country, and a lot of bounce back stories to talk about. The number 1 doubles team, Lisa bounces back in a huge way. Catherine bounced back in a huge way. A ton of bounce back, but I mean, it seemed like it came a couple doubles points or a couple really games in the doubles away from a really special trip down there to Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I think it's hard when we're playing away sometimes for fans to get the full breadth of what happened and how it happened. But the fact was, we were just a handful of points away from knocking them off at their place. And number 1 doubles gets a big win over their team, who was 2 in the country. They'd only lost 1 match all year, and we win that match 6-4. Number 2 loses a tight match 6-4, and both those finish. And we look over at number 3, and number 3's 5-all, and so it really comes down to a couple points. And both those 5-all and 6-5 games went 30-40, 30-all, and just a couple points here or there made the doubles point. Then we bounced back and we split the first sets. Katie gets the first set in a tiebreaker at 1 singles, 2 singles. Lisa won the first set. Catherine at 6 won the first set. Bunyawi lost a really tight 7-5 first set. So we're right there. And then all of a sudden, we started really coming out strong in the second set, and it started to sprinkle a little bit, and their kids were ready to move it indoors as quick as possible. Their only loss was in the finals of the National Indoor Championship, but they made the finals. They're one of the better indoor teams, and so they were excited to move it inside, and when they did, I think they kind of jumped us a little bit and changed the momentum. The momentum was definitely in our favor, but you give a lot of credit to Catherine. She played that girl earlier in the season when we played them. They had just split sets, but she came out and just dominated and got us to 2-1. And then Lisa lost to that girl when we played them earlier in the year, 6-3 in the third. Lisa did not have a good performance against Miami, and same for Catherine, as you said, kind of bounced back. And Lisa beat the number 7 ranked singles player in the country. That's only her 2nd loss of the year. So we beat the number 2 doubles team in the country, the number 7 singles team in the country, and did just about all the upsets and big matches that we could win. And we're 3-2. And then Bunyawi gets hers to a 3rd set, and Katie is down 4-5 in the 2nd set after winning the 1st, and it goes to deuce. If she wins that point, gets it to 5-all, I really think all the momentum was in our favor. She loses that point. Bunyawi just steamrolling her girl, 4-1 up in the 3rd set, kind of rolling it. Really kind of came down to Katie. But when we moved indoors, the game style really changed, and the girl was able to really put a little bit more pressure on Katie. Katie was playing a little bit behind the baseline and kind of retrieving a lot of balls and kind of trying to be a counterpuncher. And indoors, their indoor courts were a lot faster, and the conditions were such that Katie just couldn't do that. So that was a disappointing feel for us that we had to move indoors there. But you give credit to North Carolina of adjusting, and obviously it's their home, and they're used to it, and they did a good job. So, to lose it basically 4-3 because Bunyawi was going to win the match, but 4-2, and to have our returning players all be the victorious ones. Lisa, who's coming back as a junior next year, finishes her season knocking off the 7th-ranked player in the country. Catherine wins singles and doubles, gets a win on doubles over the number 2 ranked player, 2 doubles team in the country, singles. Now she goes this weekend to the NCAA in doubles, and her and Sophie are really on a roll right now.
Right.
Really reminds me of the role that her and Vladdy got on now. Can they make the finals like her and Vladdy, Sophie and Vladdy? I'm not sure, but the last 2 matches they've beaten 13-2. So I would think that they're right there. Got to be like one of the most dangerous non-seeded teams in the draw. So let's see what happens. And then, Bunyawi, I think, is our most improved player over the course of the season. She was playing lights out at the end of it. It was a really high-level match. And she lost the first set 7-5, but comes back and wins the second set. And then 4-1, 40-15 up in the third set. So there's a lot of hope for the future with those kids coming back. We have 3 kids that are returning, and all showed they can play with the best team in the country. So you add in, what right now is the number 4 ranked recruiting class. That's what we've been building towards, is for next season to have a shot at, competing for a national title when we host it in Stillwater. We got a lot of work to do, but I think the great thing is some of our returners and some of our new kids are coming in the summer and going to work with us either, in the July session or the June session. And we've never had that. We've never had kids that stayed over the break. Usually they're out playing. And some of the kids are going to play on the weekends, but they wanted to be here and train and do some of the things. So I think that's going to be a great thing for us, that these young kids are motivated. And all the returning kids were in the gym today working out with our strength and conditioning coach. So, got back yesterday and they're back in there today. That says a lot just about their commitment, because that was them all calling it on their own and saying, hey, let's get back into it. And, I just found out from them that that's what they were doing. So
you could tell that was their number 1 from North Carolina. That, you could tell they didn't lose a lot. One of their girls threw a racket down. I mean, they were and that was just a testament to how dominant Sophia and Catherine were in that. And obviously that's going to be something that's obviously thrilling for them heading into to doubles.
Yeah, and in that tournament, I was curious. You said that it sounds like they're not going to be a national seed. Do we know? Have they already drawn?
No. So they just say that they tell who the seeds are.
Okay.
So if you're a seed, they'd seed 8 teams in doubles and 16 in singles. And if you're a seed, you make All-American already.
Okay.
Now, if you're not seeded, you have to win 2 rounds. 2 rounds in the doubles or 2 rounds in the singles to be an All-American.
Okay.
So they seed it, so we know who the seeds are, and then they just place everybody else in there.
Okay.
They don't do the draw till the night before, because there could be some injuries or things like that, and teams choose not to play.
Right. Well, either way, I'm sure that any of those 8 seeds don't want to see the way that Sophia and Catherine have been playing. Don't want to see them in their field right now, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it gave Sophie a lot of credit. I mean, a lot of confidence. You give her credit for her improvement last year, but it gave her so much confidence coming into this season for making the finals last year and what they did. And I think Catherine is now starting to have that confidence. And I think her and B and Lisa, that's a good core nucleus. And then you add in, Wolfberg, who just finished off winning her 4th state title in Florida and won in the finals.
Which I saw was a first time ever.
Yeah, she beat
in
Florida. Chris Everett had done it 3 times, but nobody 4 times.
Yeah.
So great accomplishment for her. And then we have Ayumi Miyamoto, who is the number 17 ranked junior in the world. So under 18 rankings in the world, she's 17. So you put that 5 core together, and then you have a couple other recruits that we should be announcing, I think, within the next week or so. We feel really good about where we're at. So.
Well, it's exciting times for your program, obviously, and then exciting about the tennis channel. We talked about that last week a little bit, but just exciting times with the national tournament coming next year, and we certainly appreciate you sitting down and taking a few minutes out of your very busy schedule.
I appreciate it. Anytime for you guys.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.